tv.com/Grand National. That's it for the road to Aintree. All that remains for me to say is enjoy.
At Racing TV, 100% of our profits go back into racing. Thank you for supporting the sport that we all know and love.
Mark your card. Proudly sponsored by Timeform.
The new line now battling through to lead from Brentford Hope, and the mean line heading up towards the line, and it's the new Lion who wins the Unibet hurdle. Up towards the line, Django Bay has come through to snatch it in a sensational arcle. Gaelic Warrior, and he's clear by 6 lengths over Django Bay in second. The Gold Cup goes to Gaelic Warrior. In second will be Django Bay.
Lou Lamba, and this is a good first step over fences. Not as many as he might like to have jumped, but he jumped most of them pretty sound. He's won by about 8 lengths.
He's cruising to success in the Betfair Henry VIII Novices steeplechase. Lou Lamba has won it easily.
Maestro Conti, ever so straightforward, is careering to victory. Maestro Conti, perfect start for Team Skelton.
Here comes Maestro Conti to the near side. Maestro Conti makes it 3 out of 3 over Timber. Maestro Conti the winner of the Triumph Trial.
Good morning everyone and welcome along to Liverpool, to Aintree, home of the world famous Randox Grand National. Years ago it was about one race, about Saturday's showpiece. These days it's different. It's quality racing throughout, highlighted today by 4 of the first 5 races are Grade 1 contests. In between them, we've got the Randox Fox Hunters, where they'll jump this famous fence, the Chair, as fence number 3. We're really looking forward. I mentioned we get on the way with the anniversary, the Manifesto, the Bowl, and then all eyes build on the hurdlers. 2.5 mile, the feature, the William Hill Aintree Hurdle. Are you ready to go? We're all set.
It's Monksfield from Night Nurse as they race to the line. Monksfield is just holding Night Nurse, but Night Nurse is fighting his way back. And as they come to the line, it's a photo finish. It's a photo between Night Nurse and Monksfield. I wouldn't like to call that one.
And this remarkable mare, the champion hurdler, Dawn Run, inside the final furlong now. And at the line, getting a great reception. Dawn Run is the winner.
Morley Street sprints clear from Bradford again. Morley Street has won it. And so the two brothers, the two famous brothers, finish 1-2.
And it's the Queen of Aintree today, Annie Power, for her 12th win over hurdles. Annie Power, simply the best over hurdles this season. This is going to be easy for Bouverdare, the champion hurdle winner. Will follow up in the Betway Aintree hurdle. Bouverdare, he's done it easily.
The future can take him anywhere. Today, Constitution Hill has won the Aintree hurdle in majestic style.
Who is giving her a race, but Lottie Mouth goes a half length up, a length up now, and up towards the line. It's Lottie Mouth who comes clear to win the William Hill Aintree hurdle.
What a who's who of horses who have won the William Hill Aintree Hurdle. You saw Lossiemouth win it last year. 2 horses trailing in her wake in the Champion Hurdle. Both step up in trip today and both are expected to love the test in front of them. Or maybe it won't be quite as it seems. Brighter days ahead and the new line. Just 2 of the headline horses who adorn day 1 of the Randox Grand National Festival. If you are just joining us, you don't know anything that's happened in the morning, well, sadly, last year's winner Nick Rocket will not be taking in the Randox Grand National at 4 o'clock on Saturday. Has been taken out of the race, so there'll be no back-to-back winner, very sadly. But what a day 1 we have to bring you from Aintree. Let's just give you a flavour of what you can expect.
Inside the final furlong, and Maestro Conti makes it 3 and a 3 over Timber. Maestro Conti, the winner of the Time Trial. He's cruising to success in the Betfair Henry VIII Novices steeplechase. Lou Lambert has won it easily.
Django Bay has come through to snatch it in a sensational Arkle. Django Bay
racing up towards the line. It is Barton Snow trying to hold on. Barton Snow in the Hunters. The new line now battling through to lead from Brentford Hope, and the mean line heading up towards the line, and it's the new Lion who wins the Unibet Hurdle.
Of this morning, Dave Nevison. Dave, there's a lovely different feel to this meeting. I wouldn't quite go end of term feel for the jump season,
not,
but
no.
it's slightly more relaxed than the hustle and bustle of Cheltenham.
Well, I think, to be honest, we always get 11 months to start thinking about the next year's Cheltenham, and I think sometimes it gets a little bit overplayed, whereas I've been banging on for the last few years that I think I actually enjoy this meeting more than Cheltenham. It's easy to say now that Cheltenham's behind us and we're not looking forward to it, but I just think it adds, the Cheltenham form adds another dimension to this meeting. And it's, as Niall said in the intro, I can remember when it used to be a one-race meeting, and now it most certainly isn't. Every race is very relevant to the season and the very legitimate targets for horses, not just an afterthought, as it quite often was. I think it's an absolutely fantastic meeting. The atmosphere there today, especially as it looks set to be decent weather for the 3 days. It's not going to be blistering sunshine or anything, but which is good. But it's going to be a nice meeting. I think they've sold out for tomorrow, which I think is almost unheard of. So it's fantastic to see Aintree growing and growing and seemingly on an ever upward curve in many ways, despite the Grand National slaggers and the rest of the people trying to do the thing down. I think it's a fantastic race meeting.
Great news about quality off the track. On the track, though, as we've already gone through, some great horses to look forward to. Has that made it any easier, though, to find a winner?
Well, I think a feature of the meeting is that it has become more competitive, more difficult. So we all get our excuses in early. So I've got mine in at 5 to 11.
We've barely begun.
Yeah, but no, it's very, very competitive nowadays. I think it's got an awful lot going for it.
Right, let's get into your tips without further ado. Let's have a look at who you're backing.
Right, so I was in a dilemma in this race because it brings together the Triumph Hurdle, the Fred Winter and other form, and I actually was halfway between going for a and I think in a race where few of them are actually banging form, I just thought the odds were just too good for this one, and if I'll be happy enough it comes in the 5.
There we go. 2 of the 3 horses then hailing from the Dan Skelton stable, and our jockey in focus, Phil, mark your card, this morning is Harry Skelton, who, when it comes to Aintree, there have been some great successes over the years for Harry and Dan. Harry this year, how has he ridden Aintree? Well, very well. 4 wins from 18 rides at Cheltenham. That's a 23% strike rate, and all in all, as you can see from the top there, a stack of winners at the track. Now, who's he riding today? Well, you know one of them. We just talked about him. Maestro Conti, looking to right the wrong of Liv Conti in this very race last year, who was second. Protectorat, an old favourite of many, the 11-year-old back over fences in the bowl. The New Lion in the William Hill Aintree Hurdle at 4.05, and Nan's Choice in the 5.15. And quite conveniently, the Nan's Choice, Josh Kerr, joins us now. How do we find you?
Very well indeed, Anthony, Dave, everyone. Yeah, no, very much looking forward to this next few days. Some of the numbers you've said there tell part of the story. I think it's probably right to delve into those figures a little bit deeper if we can. Harry Skelton, a fantastic jockey, a former champion jockey, the only winner of the David Power Jockey Cup. And looking at those numbers and looking at the numbers as we sit today, in the last calendar year, as you say, a strike rate of around 23% for Harry Skelton, an average over expected, so that's looking at the winners he's had versus the market starting price of 1, which means the market tends to be about what happens. When you look at the Aintree picture, again, his strike rate, 23%, so in line with that in the last sort of calendar year, i.e. this season so far, there's 4 winners from 18, but his average over expected at Aintree is down at 0.85. And if you then add in last year's Grand National Festival, where, along with this season so far, then that's just 4 wins from just 33 rides, and that average over expected falls down to 0.63. So what is that telling you? Well, it's telling you not that he's not necessarily good at riding around Aintree. What it's telling you is the market is overestimating what is likely to be achieved by those horses that he's been riding. And you know, there's been a stack of seconds in there, so it's not that these horses are necessarily far away, Anthony. What it is that the market potentially might overestimate their chances.
And Harry himself without a winner last year. I think he was around 0 from 15, I think. I think Dan wasn't much better. 1 from 17 across the 3 days. They'll be hoping for a repeat of 2021, where they had some massive big successes. Right, So, Josh is providing you with some figures, Nevo with some coal hard form, and providing some colour out on track. A very good morning to Rachel Casey and Ella McNeil.
Good morning, Anthony. Welcome, everyone. We're down at the final hurdle, of course, the William Hill Aintree hurdle, the feature race on day one. Delighted to be alongside Ella. There's always such a buzz, great excitement, day one at the national meeting.
I have to say, I think this is probably one of my favourite meetings of the year. Aintree just know how to do it, don't they? The city comes alive across these 3 days, and the big race obviously on Saturday, but the next 2 days are just fantastic. The card we've got today is just second to none, so I'm so excited. Really can't wait. It's a couple of my favourite days.
Yes, me too, me too. Obviously, we get by Cheltenham, and then the build-up is to Aintree. And when was the first time you came here? Because I remember about 10 years ago, I came to Aintree and I thought, wow, it kind of hits you differently. You just cannot believe just how big it is, just how impressive and how incredible it is.
Exactly that. And the scale of the place, the grandstand is amazingly, like, it is huge just looking up the home straight now. They'll be absolutely packed to the rafters throughout the afternoon. And even when you get up and close and personal with the national fences, you kind of realise they're still pretty big, even though they have obviously been lowered over the years. They're still a task to jump, that's for sure. But I think my first memory was probably in 2009, I think it was.
Okay.
My dad had a horse called Walk On, and it won the anniversary hurdle, which is the first race on the card this afternoon. And obviously with a name like Walk On in Liverpool, the whole
I can hear the song already.
The whole grandstand was singing You'll Never Walk Alone. So that was one of my first memories of the places, and I love these 3 days, and I think we're in for a treat over the next 3 days, that's for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And you mentioned your dad obviously having a winner at Aintree. What about this year? We've got one today.
One today, Thunder Rock in the Fox Hunters, who I've seen has been a little bit of money for this morning, which is a positive sign. But we've got a nice handful of runners, no drama this end. Probably the captain of our team tomorrow. Still undecided if he runs if we get a little bit of rain. We've only had a spattering this morning, haven't we? So that's still kind of up in the air slightly, but he's obviously got to bounce back from a disappointing run at Cheltenham. And then we've got a nice horse called Hold the Serve on Saturday in the 3-mile handicap. He's unbeaten over hurdles so far, and 3-car brag in the big one on Saturday. So he's a big price, I think, 66.50 to 1, I think, in some places. So
is the money on? Is the McNeil money on already?
Maybe if we can get 8 places, I think.
Greedy. Listen, it'd be great, wouldn't it? I mean, it would be the most amazing achievement was to win a Grand National. And in terms of your dad, the expectation, I mean, I know he's always quite nervous, but he's definitely a character, isn't he? And loves the game so much.
He does, and I tell you what, he won't watch a single minute of that Grand National on Saturday. He'll be turn around,
do a Rich Richie,
and rubbing his hands together like he always does, his signature move. So no, it's a fabulous 3 days, and just so lucky to have a couple of runners across these 3 days, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, I think you can probably guess that we're absolutely buzzing. Niall's been down to the chair. We were at the final hurdle, and now we're going to whiz into the paddock. We'll rejoin Niall, and he's got some guests with him as well. Back to you, Niall.
Yeah, thanks, Rachel. Got Graham Cunningham and Chris Dixon alongside. We're excited as well, just behind the winners' enclosure here. I said at my opener, lads, it used to be about one race this meeting, didn't it? But it's a cracker. 4 of the first 5 races, grade 1s.
It's a great start to the meeting. Real high-quality stuff. And as you say, obviously it culminates in the National on Saturday, and all eyes will be on that. But there's some really good, competitive, high-quality racing before then. And yeah, very much looking forward to it. I always find it a really interesting meeting. I think every year you kind of come in with the same sort of doubt about some of the key form horses, and that is how will they back up from when most of them had races at Cheltenham, which even if they don't look a hard race at the time, just in the nature of that environment, they're going to be hard races. But this year's a longer gap. Certainly last year, I think the meeting left a mark on a lot of horses in terms of Cheltenham coming back to here. It was a shortened gap. This year it's back to a longer gap. I think the results told you last year that really took its toll. This time around, maybe that extra week will have helped.
One horse news breaking this morning, Graham. Nick Rocket, Saturday, last year's winner's out.
Yeah, feel for his connections and for Tom Bellamy, who looked like he got a golden opportunity. But echo what Chris says, on a beautiful race card here. It's called the opening day, but I'm also calling it Redemption Day, because we have the 2nd, 3rd and 4th from the Triumph Hurdle at Cheltenham in the Boodles. We have 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th from Lossiemouth's Champion Hurdle coming for the Aintree Hurdle, William Hill. We have the slightly unlucky 3rd from the Arkle Chase, Lulamba, in the Manifesto. And we've got Django Bai, who's bidding to confirm himself the best staying chaser in Britain if he can win the Racing Welfare Bowl today.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to seeing him. And he's the one that, in a Gold Cup, you don't get an easy time for. We're going to preview it in more depth. But he's still unexposed, really.
He is. I mean, I think if he shows his same level of form that he's been showing, it'll be enough to win. If you had one little doubt, it would be the fact that after his ARCA win last year, he came here and he didn't run right up to his best. He was a few pounds below form. And he'd have, I would think, have had a harder race in a Gold Cup over that sort of distance than he had in an ARCA. Having said that, in an ARCA he was probably always in top gear, and he was a younger horse at that point, whereas in the Gold Cup he probably wasn't, and he's a more battle-hardened horse nowadays. I just think he's improved for a step up in distance this year. I think you'd look back at the King George and think that the pace held up pretty well. He did very well to get as close as he did from the position that he was in. He's gone to Cheltenham. He's run an absolute blinder behind Gallic Warrior. I had doubts about whether he would stay the trip. 3¼ miles on that track, but he did absolutely fine. But I think this track and trip is going to be his absolute optimum. So if he turns up in the same form, I think, as Graham said, I think he is the best British.
He's become a wonderfully efficient little chaser, hasn't he? You know, he came through handicap hurdles rather than big graded races. But all his 3 runs this season, Ascot, when he absolutely bolted up before Christmas, King George and the Gold Cup, they all set the bar pretty high for this lot today.
Spillane Tower's still in today. He's declared today. He's declared for the Randox Grand National on Saturday. So we will see. It's good to soft in a minute. I think they'd probably want the softer, but at the minute he runs.
Yeah, I would have expected that he goes to the National, wouldn't he?
4-1 today to win a Grade 1. He's 33s tomorrow, or Saturday. But
yeah, I get that.
It's a little awkward, isn't it? You know, if you're thinking about reserves, etc. You know, he's not going to keep a horse out, is he, by hanging around? When is the final? Tomorrow. Okay. So if he runs today, he won't run in the National. So forget that. My slight concern about him, Chris, is he came right back to form at Cheltenham, but he was getting £6 from L'Empresse, and he had to work hard to beat him. So he needs to step up again a little to be a peak form Django.
The angle that he's got, and I suppose we're going to come into the race properly later on, but the angle that he's got is that he's the fresh one. He's the one that didn't go to Cheltenham.
Yeah.
His
last run was out for me. I think he's a big runner. Yeah. Anyway, more about that in due course. Right, we are going to get an update with the ground. Let's get back out on track. Let's rejoin Rachel.
Welcome out onto the track, and indeed Suleika Varma here to bring us an update. And first of all, how are you feeling heading into the festival? It's a great start to the day, but there's a real buzz around Aintree and Liverpool as we know it.
Yeah, I mean, it's hugely exciting. This is what we're here for here at Aintree. We have some great racing at the back end of the year, but this is what it's all about. So it's great just to get started.
And you actually missed out the meeting last year because you were giving birth to your daughter at the time, weren't you?
Not quite giving birth. She was 6 months old just about by then. But yeah, so I was on maternity leave last year, so it's fantastic to be back.
I bet, like, you know, really looking forward to being back after missing the year last year.
Yeah, we did come. I came with her and my parents on the Thursday, so that was her first experience of a Grand National meeting. But yeah, it's nice to be back. It's great to be part of the team again.
And you talk about the Grand National. How much kind of pressure is there? Big responsibility getting the track absolutely spot on.
Yeah, we do. You know, we pride ourselves in producing the safest ground, and we take that really, really seriously. So it's a lot of planning, and then it's a lot of tweaking as the weather changes in the build-up.
Yeah, and I think as well, listen, we talk about the grey skies, and, you know, we might get a bit of rain, but it's nice and cool, which is important for the horses as well.
Exactly that. It's perhaps not quite as much fun as it might have been for the race goers as the weather was the last 3 days, where it's been to 19, 20 degrees, bright sunshine. But for the horses, this is a lot better.
And what about the forecast?
We're very similar the next few days. There's the odd shower about. We had a few spots of rain earlier. We might get a little bit more rain on Sunday, but it's still not huge amounts. It's at the moment they're saying 1-2 mil at the most.
Right, and let's get into the ground then. We were down at the chair. We were down at the last hurdle as well. Did you put a bit of water on, a fair bit of water on?
Yeah, we've had to, because it's just been so hot the last few days, and we haven't really had any rain of any significance for over a week now. So we've been putting some days 5 or 6 mil, some some days a bit more than that, 8 to 10 mil. But we're really pleased with where we've got to. It's taken a bit of work. The ground's been quite stubborn at times, just not quite wanting to soften. A lot of evaporation because of that warm weather, but we're really pleased with where we are now.
And yesterday was a roaster here, wasn't it?
It was very warm, and the day before was actually more challenging because it was warm and breezy, which just dries the ground out. So.
Obviously, we've got a great covering as well of grass. I mean, you've a lot of grass has grown here.
Yeah, we're very lucky. I've got a fantastic estates manager, Stephen Files, who's really switched on. He keeps up to date with all the latest products, what's being used in the turf industry to encourage healthy growth in the grass, and that's the results you can see.
And for the Grand National on Saturday, what are we expecting the official going to be?
I think we're expecting predominantly good to soft. Our aim is to try and keep it in that ballpark for the next 3 days.
Have a great festival, enjoy today, and good to soft for the big one on Saturday, of course, the Grand National, but that's the latest on the ground, and the big one today, of course, the William Hill Aintree Hurdle.
"50 years of the Aintree Hurdle, and what a roll of honour it has. The likes of Nightnurse and Monksfield dead heating in it back in the late 70s. Morley Street winning 4 on the bounce. In more recent times, the likes of Al Ella, Rhinestone Cowboy, Isterbrack winning it in 1999, and these are the last 10 winners. The race has changed complexion. This always used to be the next test for a champion hurdler, and it was in 2015. Aintree Hurdle. He's the 11-to-1 outsider. I think 2-to-1 the field, Dave, is fair enough. I think there's loads of unknowns when it comes to this.
There is, but I do think the new Lion is very likely the most likely to improve on this season's form, given that I think he is going to prove better at 2.5 miles than 2. Definitely looks, it looks that he is better at 2.5 miles than 2, but the target races, with the exception of this one, are over 2 miles, and he's in the champion hurdle bracket, as he showed, but he didn't win the champion hurdle. I think he very much could win this one. He was wide in the champion hurdle. The other horse stayed on past him. Brighter Days Ahead. I think this race could suit him much better.
But there will be people who say Brighter Days Ahead overall has had the better campaign and the better lead up into this race, and she had the beating of him at Cheltenham.
Yes, she did, and before that she beat Lossiemouth. The case is very, very easy to argue, and I'm not arguing against it. I just think that if there's a horse that's going to do something different than he's done this season over this trip, it could be the new Lion, and different and better, he won't have to be much better to win this. I mean, his reputation has preceded him. It went awry at Newcastle, and then it looked, not much at Cheltenham in a horrendous race, and then he did sort of what I expected at Cheltenham in the Champion Hurdle, in that he came an honourable, but convincingly beaten third. But I just think that Lossiemouth's not in this, and I think he might just be the best horse in this race.
Is it a two-horse race?
No, I don't think it is. I think Alexei, I don't know whether this trip is perfect, but definitely made a mistake at the last. Could have been closer at Cheltenham. That one might be too big a price. Brighter Days Ahead, we've discussed, is top class. Golden Ace has a habit of winning when perhaps she shouldn't. She might be the speed horse in the race, and maybe 2.5 miles might not be her best. Potter's Charm is definitely suited by this trip and further. El Fabiolo's Enigma. It isn't a two-horse race. I think it might be a two-horse finish, but there are other contenders, and I wouldn't. I think it's a very trappy race to bet in, but definitely, if forced to have a bet, I would come down on the New Lion.
But Niall, there are people who are going to be on either side of the coin, or maybe on a completely different coin altogether when it comes to the William Hill Aintree Hurdle. What are your thoughts?
It's wide open. Obviously, Lossiemouth won the race last year. She's not here, but the 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th are here, which makes it intriguing.
It does. And it's one of those, we know there's very little between Brighter Days Ahead and the New Lion. A couple of lengths back to Alexei and Golden Ace. I just think the Cheltenham clue might be the Cheltenham clue, and that Brighter Days Ahead might just be slightly better than the New Lion, and they're the two key horses. She's 1 from 1 here, Brighter Days Ahead. She came and won the 2.5 mile novice 2 years ago, and she absolutely bolted up. And I just love the way she ran at Cheltenham. She raced with full of enthusiasm. She pinged practically every hurdle. She did her best, and she just came up against a crackerjack mare on the day.
Yeah, I suppose the thing, this is obviously the champion. Looking at it, we know more about Brighter Days Ahead, Chris. The one thing we do know that the New Lion, we think he's just going to excel over this new trip, isn't he? He really wants it.
Yeah, I think he does. Obviously, the way that the programme is at Cheltenham, he was a Cheltenham winner as a novice in a race that has thrown up plenty of future winners of a Champion Hurdle. But this was a Champion Hurdle where they didn't go a particularly good gallop. It turned into a relative test of speed, I thought, and that probably didn't really suit him. He also had a pretty wide pitch. I don't think that the Champion Hurdle suited him at all. Now, I also think that Brighter Days Ahead, to some extent, probably wasn't seen to optimum advantage, because at this trip on this ground at Cheltenham, it's probably sharp enough for her as well. So I think that the longer distance today and this race will suit them both better. And Brighter Days Ahead has won at this meeting in the past when she won here as a novice. But I just think that the new one is still capable of getting better. I think we know how good Brighter Days Ahead is, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think he's still going to get better. If you look at both time form ratings, Racing Post ratings, he may have been beaten as near enough favourite in a Champion Hurdle. It still goes down as a career best effort on the figures.
And that's the first time he's ever been beaten when he's completed the course.
Yeah.
In a race that didn't
suit him. And the question clearly going into the Champion Hurdle was, is he a horse that really wants a little bit further? And I think the answer, having watched it, was that he is. And this is probably his ideal race. Everyone wants to have winners at the highest level at Cheltenham, and I'm sure they'll go there again and have another go, but this race is perfect for him, and I think he's the one to beat.
If we're right that there's not much between them, that's what Cheltenham suggests, then tactics could be really important, and jockeyship. And as Chris touched on in the intro, it's more about trainers than jockeys, because it's how trainers can present their horse 4 weeks after Cheltenham in a really hard race. Can they get them to peak or even slightly better that form? So they're the key components here.
Like any race, you're trying to work out how it'll be run. Potter's Charm at Envisage will jump out to make it. Brighter Days Ahead will be in...
I'll probably sit second. I don't think Brighter Days Ahead had ideally want to lead. I think it was kind of a situation that forced their hand at Cheltenham because there wasn't really a front runner in there. I think they would prefer to follow one ideally, so I think that's probably what will happen. But I think those two hopefully engaging a reasonably enough way out will allow Harry Skelton to kind of track them through, hopefully stalk them in. And the way that I look at it is, as Graham said, there isn't much between them on what we know about them, and that Cheltenham run, I think, was a fair enough representation of where they are. I think the race that have developed differently you might not have had as much between them, and I just feel that over this trip
he's going to take a step forward.
He's going to take a step forward, and I think we know how good Brighter Days Ahead is, so I'm with him.
A couple of last quickies. I do not know what to make of El Fabiolo. 4 years since he had that tremendous scrap with John Bon here in a novice hurdle. He's had so many ups and downs. He bolted up at Leopardstown last time, but when he ran in the Irish Champion hurdle behind Brighter Days and Lossiemouth, he checked out very tamely. I don't know where I am with him.
The 2-to-1 joints, New Lion and Brighter Days Ahead. El Fabio is 7-2. I think he's tight.
I do as well. Now, here, he was a very short price, as he's been so many times, 2-7 here at Leopardstown. So he's entitled to win good looking, Chris. That's exactly what he does. He started odds on so many times, 7, 8, 9 times in his career. He's going to be a more backable price today. But I agree with Niall. The gap between the top two in the market and him looks a little tighter than it ought to be in my mind.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, I wonder whether the reason for that is you think back to last year's meeting, a number of horses that struggle to back them to back up the Cheltenham efforts. And I do, as I said already, I think it's different this year because I think you've got the longer gap. But I wonder if there's an element of he's the obvious one. I know he ran relatively, he's only had 8 days extra, but he wasn't in the heat of a Cheltenham Festival battle. He's had over a week more to get over it, and he wouldn't have had travelling as hard a race. He hadn't had the travelling exactly. That's a fact I hadn't thought about in terms of Brighter Days Ahead. That is a factor, not so much the New Lion. But I think the reason that he is sort of cramped up a little bit in terms of what you think on bare form compared to the other two is that you can probably have a touch more confidence that he can deliver the same level, even though he has been a bit in and out himself over the time.
It might be also partly that William Mullins on this day last year, he certainly won 3 of the 4 grade ones. He might have won them all. I'm not sure.
Golden Ace, what a mare. No, she's just been greatly campaigned the last few years. Took her chance, obviously, in last year's champion. She ran well this year, but her and, I suppose, Alexi fire him into the mix. How are they going to turn the tables?
Well, they don't have an enormous amount to find, but they definitely weren't good enough in the champion hurdle. So they need the top 2 to underperform, or they need to blossom for the longer trip. And try as I might, I can't make a strong case for either of them to beat both of the top 2 in the market.
No, I think it's a big ask. I don't really see the reason why they were. I think fundamentally they're just not quite as good. And I know that Golden Ace has beaten Brighter Days Ahead in the past, and obviously she's taken advantage of some really good opportunities. She's been very well placed, and you can't knock her in any way. But do I think she's got the raw talent of the other two? Not quite really if they're on their going day. So when you've got them both turning up and you're not just shooting at one, you're shooting at a couple, I think
they're going to be midday or slightly further back, aren't they?
Yeah, I don't think it'll be a complete crawl, because I think Brighter Days Ahead needs to make it a pretty good test.
She doesn't want a horse just sitting on his shoulder at the last going well. So I don't think it'll be too tactical a race. We're going in slightly different directions, me and Chris, but if they're both on their A game, we're in for a cracking battle, aren't we? Yeah, we are. Just looking at the caption earlier, the winners this Granville again, Morley Street, the full brothers. Dawn Run won it.
Yeah, I saw the clip of Dawn running way longer. Isterbrack, etc. Pridwell beating Isterbrack one day.
Yeah.
So it has a legendary roll of honour. Shame we haven't got Lossiemouth, but in her absence, 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th from the champion, and the Mercurial El Fabiolo is a pretty good test.
I think it almost makes it more interesting that she's not here.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes not having sort of the one that won it. Yeah, it leaves a few more questions, doesn't it? It's not just...
And in case we ever forget the randomness angle, this time last year, Constitution Hill was searching for room early in the straight and hit the deck hard.
I can still hear.
Hit the deck again behind the New Lion at Newcastle. Now he's reinvented as a flat horse. So we forget the element of drama and randomness that always intervenes from time to time.
Okay, for you?
It's going to be Brighter Days Ahead. I've always had a soft spot for her, and hopefully in 12 months' time we'll know her not just as a high-class herder, but a crackerjack chaser as well.
Okay, 2 for that, and New Lion for Chris. Right, let's get back to the studio. Let's get the thoughts on the William Hill Aintree hurdle with the lads.
Thank you very much, Noel. It's an intriguing race, not least for the horses that are turning up or the horses that haven't turned up. I personally think actually Lossiemouth not being in this field only opens up the intrigue, because you've got 2 horses in here at the top of the market, Josh. They want a strong pace to be seen to best effect. Stepping up in trip, that can only be a benefit to them. But I think only if they get the right kind of conditions to bring them into the race.
Absolutely, it's a fantastic renewal of the Aintree hurdle, very much deserving of being the feature race on this opening day, and yeah, a fantastic rematch between four protagonists who ran great races all in their own right in the champion hurdle. And you've touched on it there, the pace is going to be very, very important indeed. And I want to start, if we can, by looking at how the Aintree hurdle has been run in recent renewals. These are the last three renewals of the Aintree hurdle: Constitution Hill, Imperial Pass and Lossiemouth. And look at those finishing speed percentages, Anthony, around 110 for all of them. It was on more testing ground in 2024 when it was that three-way fight to the line. But you can see there that it's not necessarily always the testing 2.5 miles that you think it's going to be in terms compared to, you know, a champion hurdle, which you think is all speed over 2 miles, and looking at some of those top speeds as well. So, you know, it's a flat track. They tend to kind of go round at one pace, and they're all stacked up as they get to that turn, and then it turns into a bit of a sprint. So the pace is going to be fascinating. The guys on course were talking about how they think it might line up. Potter's Charm potentially going forward. El Fabiolo can sometimes pull himself there. You know, might that allow Paul Townend to try and control the race from the front? Maybe. Brighter Days Ahead, you know, really wants a more of a grueling race. That's where she really excels, and she is a brilliant horse. But is she going to get the pace? She didn't get the pace she wanted at Cheltenham. The New Lion, they're not going to want to go forward with that after what happened at Newcastle. So if it is that more sedate pace that we've seen there, it could set up for those more speedier types. And let's go back then to the champion hurdle and look at how that race unfolded. If we pick them up then from 2 out in the champion hurdle, coming down the hill, this is the fastest point in the race. And you can see from their top speeds there, Golden Ace reaching the highest, Alexia next, and Brighter Days Ahead and the New Lion down at that sort of 36 3/4 miles an hour on the decent ground we had at Cheltenham. And again, they're kind of well bunched coming off the bend, which is what we tend to see in the Aintree hurdle. Now coming to the last, Alexi, this era loses more than 7.5 miles per hour. If you look at Lossiemouth further up, lost around 3. A top class hurdle loses around 2 miles an hour. The recovery time, again, taking an absolute age in relative terms and losing 2 lengths on the field, 2.5 to 3 lengths compared to rivals there. And in fact, only Lossiemouth approached that last hurdle going faster than Alexi, and only the 2 out the back who walked home came away from it slower. So that really tells you just how much Alexi lost there. And a little bit more on who the speedier horses are. Well, it's definitely Golden Ace and Alexi. Brighter Days Ahead, for example, has only finished first for top speed in 11 races that we have data for twice. So clearly, Brighter Days Ahead and the New Lion are going to appreciate this step up in trip. But don't think this race is all about stamina. Those 2-mile horses potentially aren't going to be disadvantaged as much because it's a flat track and they don't get racing until the home straight.
We will see. Josh, thank you very much. Now, all through these 3 days, we are most of us love a little look back, don't we? The Grand National, for some of us, is the race that got us interested in horse racing. Let's have a look back at one of the best ever to do it.
Coming to the elbow now in the National. He's got 250 yards to run, and Chris just wandering a little off a true line now. He's beginning to lose concentration. He's been out there on his own for so long, and Red Rum is making ground on him still as they come to the line. It's a furlong to run now. 200 yards now for Crisp, and Red Rum still closing on him, and Crisp is getting very tired, and Red Rum is pounding after him. Red Rum is the one that's finishing the strongest. He's going to get up. Red Rum is going to win the National, and at the line, Red Rum has just
2 fences left to jump between he and Grand National History, but close in behind him is Churchtown Boy. The Pill Garlic is about 6 lengths away. Then comes the Mare Eye Catcher, and then Waterbucker behind them, Heavy Ranger, then Forest King and Carroll Street. They're virtually the only ones left in the 1977 Grand National, and Churchtown Boy is still making relentless progress. Martin Blackshaw coming there very sweetly on Churchtown Boy, but Red Rummy still holding the lead now as they jump the second last. He's over the second last in the lead. Churchtown Boy didn't jump it too well, and it's Red Rum and Tommy Stack now from Churchtown Boy, the Pill Garlic and Eye Catcher, as they come to the last fence in the National. And Red Rum with a tremendous chance of winning his 3rd National. He jumps it clear of Churchtown Boy. He's getting the most tremendous cheer from the crowd. They're willing him home now. The 12-year-old Red Rum being preceded only by loose horses, being chased by Churchtown Boy. Eye Catcher has moved into 3rd and the Pill Garlic 4th. They're coming to the elbow. There's a furlong now between Red Rum and his 3rd Grand National triumph, and he's coming up to the line to win it like a fresh horse in great style. It's hats off and a tremendous reception. You've never heard one like it at Liverpool. Red Rum wins the National.
Well, Aintree's the stage, Liverpool is the spirit, and it's always a party, isn't it, here at the Grand National meeting? And I know someone who loves a party, Ella.
I think it's Mr. Neil Smith.
Hey, hello, here I am, folks, with my new job for all 3 days of the Randox Grand National Festival.
And that is?
Self-service lagers, cores. Come on, come with
Okay,
me.
how long do you think you'll stay in this job?
Oh, ages. I'll still be here on Sunday. Yeah, this is what's going to happen.
All right, is this brand new for Aintree?
Yes, it is. So it's the first time cores have been here as well. American lager, as you know, started in the 1980s. And the first time we've had the self-serve, because it was so busy down here in this Red Rum Garden last year. Now, I've already been sort of prepping, and I've been sort of doing training yesterday. You're going to order your own beers, okay? Come on, Ella. You know,
I think we're going to try.
You're going to try.
Listen, Ella, if we mess this up,
we're going to be in big trouble.
Go straight in there.
Talk me through it. What am I doing?
Well, there's a button there called Start
So
Order.
we put this here?
Yeah, you can put the cut. Yeah, well, hold on. You need to put another one in. You might order. What about Rachel?
We'll have one for
All right.
Rachel too. Okay,
like the
so I
training
click
session.
2 pints,
Yeah.
please.
Okay.
I like the way you talk to it as well.
Continue.
Yes.
Wow. Modern technology, hey?
Yeah, there's something called payment.
Oh. Payment.
Go and get your card out, Neil.
Oh, look
Come
at
on, the
this.
wine
Look at
tips,
this.
yeah.
Yeah. Good job. You're going to do well at this festival. Okay, here we go. Hope that's worked.
Card declined.
Yeah, the card declined.
Yeah,
So here we-
that old chestnut.
Yeah, here we go.
We used to have days where he'd bring us tasting champagne, and now he's
Yeah, here it is,
he's here.
folks.
Now we're on the lager.
This is it. You had Cheru at Cheltenham. Here we are, self-service calls. Look at that. Look at that's going to be cool. Come on, you've got to be ready for this. 14 seconds per pint, by the way. I'm going to do so many pints we're going to do over the 3 days.
I wonder how many pints there will be.
I know
across
which
the
one
3
you're
days.
going to give me
I'll
there.
give you the clean one, Rachel, that hasn't spilt. I'll
Right,
have the frothy one that's got a
There's a bit of a head on that
bit
now.
of a large head on it. but-
Sorry, but that's not a great advertisement for this machine.
Right, no, we're going to do another one. I'm going to do it. But you taste. Go on, you taste.
Cheers.
Now,
Cheers. Right. Are you going again?
I'm going again.
Okay.
But in all seriousness, this place later on this afternoon will be absolutely packed, won't it, Neil?
It will be, actually. Yeah, completely. And I think the thing is...
So 14 seconds you've got. Come on, Neil.
Well, 14 seconds. I'll tell you what, this is getting really expensive. This is bound to decline my card, by the way. Payments failed.
Payment failed. Oh, it's all going wrong now.
Don't you just love live telling?
Quick, where's your card?
You can have a taste of mine if you want.
Okay, we're going to do that. Right, let's do that.
Come on. Right. To be honest, listen, it's great. And the queues will be long. They'll be very long for this a little bit later. So that is the self-service bar. Let's
There's
take
a chap called Jim watching this, and he's going to buy me a pint afterwards.
Well, I'm not sure about that.
I think so.
I don't think you've been the best endorsement for that, Neil. Right, we are going to come out here, and it's a little bit like the quiet before the storm, Ella. We've been in here having a boogie before.
This place, honestly, come midday-ish, this will be absolutely heaving.
It will be. I mean, it's great, isn't it?
The place will be absolutely rocking, and I think it's fantastic. They have added the party element to Aintree. It's always been a fantastic atmosphere here, but this just gives a little bit of extra spice, I think, and the DJ that's kind of floating in the sky, the big screen so people can still watch the racing and have a boogie.
Do you realise that after I've done the self-service, I'm DJing later? That's what I'm doing.
The wine tips is on the deck.
You know what they say, though, jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah, probably.
Definitely not a master of the self-service bar, that's for sure.
Elliot say that, you know, like this is a kind of spice up the day. We don't really need to spice it up anymore at Liverpool because we mentioned, you know, obviously it's always a great party, but in terms of the racing as well, we've got a quality card, haven't we?
We have 4 Grade 1s, 3 Grade 1s to kick us off for the first 3 races, and I think they small but quality fields, that's for sure, and some bigger fields in the handicaps, which is good to see. But we've got obviously the feature race of the afternoon, the Aintree hurdle, which I think is a fantastic rematch, isn't it?
Who are we backing?
Champion hurdle rematch.
Yeah, who are we backing?
Who are you going to go?
I think the New Lion will put in a pretty good show.
I do as well, actually. I just don't think this is the right course for him. I think it's definitely the right course.
Yeah, and the step up in trip as well.
Yeah,
it's going to
I
be
think
big.
all of those, and that's been talked about a lot, hasn't it? So, and who else do you fancy today?
I think the Bowl is an interesting race. If Spillane Tower runs, I think, Rachel, I know you like him. I think he'll have a fantastic
I think
chance.
fresh legs at Aintree, and I think even later Django by. I mean, a Gold Cup form coming in here, you know, it doesn't always go to plan, and I just think that I'd like fresh legs. I think Spillane Tower, we saw he was in great nick, didn't we, like Cheltenham back in January, but I'm just kind of waiting for an announcement over the Tannoy any second now.
It's interesting
He's
because they
still
kept him in the
National.
Nationals.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
It's a bit touch and go like last year, wasn't it? They left him into the very last minute. But how about you? Who are you?
Well, I like Django Bay. I'm going to take you on. I do. Having his full start, you know, and I think with him, he's so talented. After that King George race, also performance at Cheltenham, he's a class act. He's still improving, and I do think he can do it.
Okay.
Django Bay for me.
He's quite short. I mean, anything at a bigger price.
Yes.
Protectorate, I think, is quite interesting.
Yes.
Loves it round Aintree. I think he's in the form of his life, even though he's an 11-year-old. Not many 11-year-olds have won this race.
No, I agree.
But I think he can buck the trends, and if there's one to get a horse ready for a target, it's Mr. Dan Skelton, isn't it? So I would love, how cool would that be to see Protectorate win the Bowl after coming second so many times?
I agree with you. And 5-1 too. What a wonderful horse he is. Everybody go crazy. I'm going to enjoy this course, cool, refreshing course. Lovely.
Wonderfully poured, by the way.
Wonderfully poured.
Cheers.
Cheers, everybody.
I look forward to seeing where you're taking me tomorrow. We're going to take you to another big race on the day now, the Bowl Chase. What a race it's going to be.
And year on year, the question mark has to be all about whether you're going to be able to back up from the Gold Cup and go into the Bowl. We'll be
him better. He was unlucky to make a mistake. I don't know whether he was unlucky to lose. I don't know whether it cost him the race, but he certainly would have been closer at Cheltenham. Lulambe, he's a top class horse in every one of his runs. Previous to that, won 2 novice chases in very good style. I think went into the Arkle entitled to be favourite, and all he did wrong was not win. I think he's got a tremendous opportunity here to make amends, but obviously you're betting 4 to 7 about a novice chaser, so it's up to you really. But he's a top class horse, and of that there's no doubt.
Do you think the step back in trip is going to be to Cocktail Divan's benefit? I do. I'm just not sure it's enough necessarily to turn. Well, to match up to form of Lulamba's level. He's got £12 to find on official ratings.
Yeah, £12 is 12 lengths at least, in my opinion. And something will have to... Lulamba will either have to make another mistake or be over the top. I don't think he will be, for Cocktail Divan to do it. He won the time before. But he's just not. He's not in the same league. He's dependent on the favourite making mistakes. But Henry de Bromhead, especially with novice chasers, to me, is a top class trainer. So maybe he'll get something different out of it. But it isn't in the form book for me. Lulamba's the better horse.
It's been a bit of a graveyard of the last 10 years of favourites.
That's the thing about this meeting. Sometimes they disappoint, often after being bottomed at Cheltenham. I'm not going to argue that case. I think there's enough of a gap for a high-class trainer to get a high-class horse back to form after Cheltenham. I think you're guessing if you think one might be over the top at this stage. It's part of the attraction of the meeting. But for the favourite to get beat, the favourite's got to do something wrong.
It's hardly a wise guy price, is it, Noel? But Lulamba, it looks like he is best placed to step up and trip and take top honours.
And I think the trip is key. He could run well in the King George next season. But he has got a mistake in him. Flat track might help him with his jumping. Exeter, obviously, the sun, he didn't put much emphasis on his jumping. Today will, even though it's a small field.
Yeah, I think he'll be hard enough to beat. But it's fully factored into his price. I mean, 4 to 7 is looking skinny enough, isn't it? But I think he is the class act in the field. There's a good bit of depth to his form, really. He's got a habit of winning races, and I know he didn't at Cheltenham, but he would have gone very close to that mistake at the second last. Now, I just feel that over this trip,
here we go,
there is likely to be more to come, and I think the track could be fairly significant.
Yep.
It's a flatter track, clearly, and you've got more running in straight lines as well, and I think all of that probably helps him, really. And yeah, to me, he's the best horse in the field, and yes, his jumping is a little bit of a doubt, and if you're looking from a betting perspective at 4 to 7, maybe the doubts just get into your mind enough. Certainly stops me wanting to play him at very short, but it's not my bag playing at very short anyway.
No, he's 12 pound clear on ratings.
That's the point I was about to make now. It's not like he's got a length. But there's that jarring blunder at the second last. So it's a question of whether he has recovered from this pretty enervating experience here. His jumping is not super slick at 2 miles. He should be all right around here. I just wonder how much that race may have took out of a young horse, and I also wonder whether there might be at least one emerging Grade 1 racehorse against him, because I was mighty impressed with Cocktail Divan at Leopardstown. I don't think he got home in the Brown.
I think he was a clear non-stayer, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And even you go back to Leopardstown, it's a time when Henry's horses weren't flying, and he was given his run. I thought he'd run the Jack Richards. I was
surprised he didn't. I couldn't really work out why he went where he went, but he did, and then he kind of ran how I thought he'd run.
Chris, I heard, I can't remember from who, but the owners aren't really that fussed about handicaps. They want graded horses and Grade 1 horses if possible. Today's the day we'll find out whether they've got one. He's a real free-flowing horse who can jump with real length and scope, and I think in a small field on a flat track allowed to free flow today, he might set Lulamba quite a nice target.
I agree. Well, who'll bring them along, the top horse?
I think Cocktail will lead him here.
You think he'll go on? Yeah, well, he could do. I mean, he did at Leopardstown, and he seemed to enjoy it. I think Blue King Daru is the alternative pace angle in the field. So I think a lot of it boils down to ultimately what Lalamba can do and if he can show his form. But if Cocktail Divan gets into this type of rhythm, he isn't going to be an easy horse to get past, is he? And you've got that clear excuse for him at Cheltenham last time out.
Very tenuous, but this was the chase over Christmas at Leopardstown that Factophile and Galopin Champ won. But this day, the second and third are pretty useful horses, and he absolutely demolished them. So I'm prepared to believe that a mark of 150, which would have been very tempting for the Jack Richards, still underestimates this horse's potential and ability, and I'm really looking forward to seeing him today.
I could see him like turning into the back straight. The fences here, they're nice fences, lots of belly in front, and they'll be nicer for Lalamba. But if he starts winging them down the back straight and getting in that rhythm that he did Leopardstown.
It was interesting to see the Arkle chase. If you watch it back closely, I think Nico de Boinville wanted to make the Arkle a good test of stamina because he knew Lalamba is a strong stayer at that trip. Therefore, he kept nudging Lalamba almost upside Carjesi, and she kept jumping that little bit better than him. And I think he'll have to sit a little back today, not make it an out-and-out test of jumping, and hope that Lalamba's class sees him through. But I don't think this is as open and shut as the market suggests.
No, I agree, for what it's worth.
Yeah, betting-wise, I've gone with Lalamba, but it's not a betting race for me. I think that he's far enough clear of Cocktail Divan in raw ability at this point to be the horse that is the one to beat, and not really want to take Cocktail Divan against him at what I don't see as a massive price anyway.
I'm going to back Cocktail and try and lay him off at short in running. I think he has that sort of style that suggests he could shorten up as the market develops in running.
What about the rest of them? Jack Jr., I can't see why.
He got absolutely blown away in the Arkle, but he did get very edgy beforehand, so I don't think that was the real Jacks Jr., but it's stretching.
But this place as well, you walk out under the stands, it's not an easy place. You know, this will be rammed, and if you a bit fragile.
If anything, it's a bit closer here, isn't it, a lot of it? In that, because as you walk out, you're literally going under the stand and with a load of people around. No, Cheltenham's a touch like that nowadays, but the atmosphere here isn't really a timid one in comparison to Cheltenham. Sometimes it's more lively.
Mambo number 5 won a nice handicap here before Christmas, but he produced a very ragged jumping performance in the Kingmaker.
Yeah, the thing about when he went to Kingmaker, we were there, I think, you know, his jumping was really good going to Warwick. You think, well, this is his strong point, is his jumping. There's only 3 runners. It wasn't like Steel Alley was just a way better horse. Yes, he was a way better horse. But Mambo number 5, after 2 or 3 fences, you can see him scoot. He wasn't attacking his fences. It wasn't. I'm happy to say, right, that just wasn't his running. But is he good enough on the rest of the runs?
Yeah, probably not. He missed Cheltenham, which may have helped him. And Blue King Daru also didn't run at Cheltenham. But is he this kind of good, Chris? I'm not sure.
Probably not, would be my view. But I suppose the one thing that you've got is that they have missed Cheltenham. You go back to last year, and Django Bear was coming into this on the back of winning the Arkle at the festival, and he didn't quite match his form. But as I said earlier on, the gap was shorter last year, and I think it is worth bearing that in mind. And I think if you look further back, when the gap has been more akin to what it is this year, the Cheltenham runners have actually done really well at this meeting. So yeah, it's not a race at all that I've got a particularly strong view on. For all that it's interesting to watch, I hope that Lalamba can go on and win it, because I think he's the one that could be a real top-notcher into open company myself.
Yeah, and I mentioned at the start, like, he could be a King George horse. I think going up and trip, and it's early days, he can improve his jumping, but I just think he has to.
It's just, he's only 5.
I know he is.
I looked at the race card, I thought he must be 6 now.
Him and Mambo number 5, the 2 5-year-olds.
Yeah, what he's achieved in a couple of seasons is pretty impressive.
Makes me think he's just he's a potential real top-notcher in the open division down the line.
So I think Blue King Daru and will go forward.
Cocktail will definitely be on the speed today, I'm sure of it.
Yeah, and then he'll just sit and stare
behind. I think I think a lot of it will be what rhythm he can get into, and if he doesn't get into a rhythm, Cocktail Divan can nip away from him. I can definitely see that sort of scenario, and probably Graham's angle, if you were playing betting wise, that's as good a one as there is. Get in to get out, because there is likely to be a point where it looks sticky for Lalamba.